Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you can see it and you can purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. Far be it from me to propose such an unseemly scenario, but if a sea dweller and a Datejust 36 were to spawn progeny, it would be the Omega on my wrist today. This is the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean 37.5mm in grade 5 titanium, the most wearable, discreet, and perhaps even versatile of the Planet Oceans. It's one you can wear without feeling like a pseudo-diver clown in the office. It's not oversized, it's not overbearing. It's not flamboyant in any unwanted sense, nor does it ask you to sacrifice in materials or capability. 37.5mm puts it almost spot on the size that would have been considered a man's dive watch during the 1950s. And at 15.4mm thick, it's one of the slimmest Planet Oceans you'll encounter. Lug-to-lug, 43.5mm, it's almost exactly the same size as a Datejust 36. And if you include the solid end links of the bracelet, you will find that the watch still stretches a reasonable 48.5mm, but 48.5 across the wrist is a perfect size. If you have a wrist between 13 centimeters and 15 centimeters in circumference, even on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, I can see a man choosing this watch simply because it is less strident. It's not trying to make an uncomfortable statement about dominance or ego. In fact, it doesn't speak to the inferiority complex of the owner, more his taste, his discretion, and his sensibility about his machines. Everything should be in proportion, and on a smaller wrist, one does not need 45.5mm. Now, the watch is feather light in grade 5 titanium, bezel, case, clasp, and bracelet. This one does sit quite lightly. Of course, it is grade 5 titanium, the higher grade, as the Planet Ocean is a flagship piece. You will also appreciate the fact that you don't lose much going with the smaller Planet Ocean. Polished outer facets, 3-link design, oval cross section, big gaps on the underside to avoid pinching skin, pulling hair, or trapping wrist heat. The bracelet is sized with screws, no pin sleeves here. The clasp is quite secure. You can see it's a solid block that features twin trigger release. Internally, it has the same wonderful flip-out dive extension, and note the twin spring-loaded pin snaps so that it maintains its tight tolerances over time. The attention to detail is superb, and not just engineering. Look at that hairline polished bevel along the grade 5 titanium clasp. I like right down to the polished triggers. Now, jumping back to the case, you can see it's a well-known design. Sheer sides with linear satin grain, lyre-shaped lugs with polished flaring bevels. You can see the helium escape valve, pleasant and present. You could see the crown slightly recessed, its shear guards flanking. Now, the helium escape valve, I've always said this is the definition of luxury, more than you need. It's a wonderful conversation piece if you're not a professional saturation diver, but if you are, it's ready and waiting. The knurling of the bezel is one of the best in the dive watch class, and better than any other Omega. I'm sorry to say, as much as I love the Diver 300 meters, the knurling on those bezels is impossible to grip. Here, it's sharp, it's shallow, and it digs right into the fingers. You could easily manipulate this bezel with wet, sweaty, or gloved hands. And listen to the action. It's precise and crisp. It is, in fact, the best detent I've encountered on any of the Planet Oceans. The smallest seems to be the sharpest and the most pleasing. You line up that luminescent dot with the minute hand, broad arrow style. You have a 0 to 60 minute timer. I prefer this to a chronograph. It's easier to read. Ceramic insert with liquid metal indices and numerals. Very scratch resistant. And of course the dial, a wonderful and lustrous lacquer blue. Let's give ourselves a bit more light. You can see it's glossy, it's gleaming, it's bottomless, it looks wet. Hands, numerals, and indices, as well as Omega logo in white gold, because this is a Planet Ocean. It's a flagship piece. No rhodium plated steel here. 600 meter water resistance and a few subsidiary setting modes. You have a hacking or stop seconds function, and there's also a quick set so you can rapidly cycle the monotone date disc. Turn it all over. You have an Omega exclusive caliber 8520, which I have to say, just looking at it, is exactly what you would expect in a Planet Ocean. It is a movement that is decorated with Côte de Genève in arabesque, blackened screws, an engine-turned perlage on the base plate, and all the spec you've come to expect. A superior power reserve, 50 hours, a silicon hairspring for anti-magnetism, a full balance bridge with a free-sprung index for shock resistance. It even uses Edishock, so Omega and ETA making their own proprietary shock protection. It is a chronometer. It is a coaxial with the George Daniels tri-level system designed by the late great independent watchmaker, industrialized and perfected by Omega. Still 600 meters water resistant, and that in spite of the display case back and the smaller case. No sacrifices here. This is a heavy-duty movement in a heavy-duty watch, and very, very precise. 28 joules, beaten away at 25,200 vibrations per hour. This watch brings the works. A timepiece that can best be described as a little giant and an understated joy to wear. Again, if you did cross a Datejust 36 with a Sea Dweller, I don't know what that Rolex would look like, but I have a feeling if we can expand our brands, it would be something very much like this 37.5mm Seamaster Professional Planet Ocean. See it and make it yours on the watch box. Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean, mid-size with full-size lume.